when it comes to AI, it really matters on like, is it actually a utility that your customers can actually utilize? So maybe kind of give me a breakdown of the big announcements coming from Zoho in respect to AI and machine learning.
Well, the first thing is this. AI for the sake of AI is boring and it's of no consequence. When we look at AI at Zoho at a very high level, we're looking at specific contextual outcomes. What does AI mean for a sales agent is very different what AI means for a customer support agent, right? And then what does AI mean for someone who wants to analyze data? There is a context, there is a specific aspect to AI in each of these business cases. Let's talk about analytics. That's the big launch that we're doing on tomorrow, on the September 12th, where we're talking about this whole idea. We took this business challenge of democratization of insights. How do you democratize insights so people across the organization can take decisions? It is not just about having reports and charts. It's about putting it in the hands of right people where they are. And how do you make them access the information and data points that they need? So Ask Zia, Zoho Analytics' own co-pilot, allows people to interact with the data using natural language. So you could basically go to Ask Zia and say, show me the sales forecast for the next 6 months. Based on the historical data, applying a specific forecasting algorithm, it would give you a forecast in the form of a chart or a table. So you ask a question, you get a report or a chart or a table back in response. Now, potentially, this is something that a lot of vendors do, and so does Zoho. And you have to be inside the analytics platform to be able to do this. So we said, let's push the boundary a little bit further. Why don't we make this available inside a business context where maybe they are in their Slack channel or their Microsoft Teams? Install Ask Zia as a bot, and then you can start having conversations with Ask Zia as the third person, even as you are having a conversation with your colleague. And then the charts and reports come contextually when you're having a conversation with your colleague.
And this can happen in like legitimately in real time.
Yes, it is, because you're installing the bot in the context of the business application, but it is joined at the hip behind the scene to the analytics layer. And whatever permissions that you set for the users, those permissions are inherited in the context of the chat application as well. So right there, you are starting to take decisions or getting insights in the context of a conversation based on which people can take decisions. That's number one. Another thing that we have done, a big update, is what we call decision intelligence. Zoho Analytics has been supporting what we call Zia Insight, which basically is a narration which gives you a summary of what's happening within a chart or within the set of data points that you're visually looking at. Now, it is helpful because it gives you a quick summary and it points out or bubbles up inferences from within the charts, which otherwise would require a lot of more data exploration. Here, we shortcut that and we give you a narration. Now, we have gone to the next level where instead of just saying what is happening with the data, we are also going to give you why something is happening. For example, let's say you're looking at a chart. Andy, is it okay if I bring up a presentation as we do this so that I can show you what the...
Hey, proof's in the pudding. Let's see it in action.
Do it. Here, you're looking at an example of a chart, Andy, where we're looking at the sales versus the ad spend analysis, okay? And when I click on Zia Insights, it basically comes up with this narration telling me or giving me a summary saying the total spend between 2023 and 2024 was so much, the maximum ad spend was observed in December 2023, and so on and so forth. Interesting insights in themselves. But then it is now also able to highlight or give me some red flags, which I can further drill down and say, diagnose why is this happening in the first place? Why did the sales decrease by 15% in 2024, July 2024? And then it comes up with this narration saying, in June, it was so much. In July, it was so much. Obviously, there's a difference. There's a shortfall. And the five drivers that are impacting sales are the Facebook ads, the tablet from user devices, priceless picks campaign that was sent. All of them have seen a drop in sales, right? So the idea here is you basically go and understand why something is happening, not just stop at, yes, this revenue has fallen, but then also understand the key drivers that are impacting this. Now, when you drill down further, it tells you the sales for Facebook decreased. So meaning you have spent more on sales, Facebook. However, the revenue did not match the the spend that you did. And consequently, the impact is almost 55% directly because the Facebook campaign did not reap the benefit that it should. Now, think about this from a business user's perspective. While it gives me these nice insights and also gives me the whys of the what, a whys behind the what, now, as a decision maker, as a business user, I can say, okay, you know what? This is just the first month. Maybe I should run this for 3 more months before I take a decision of pulling back the spend on this. Now, even after 3 months, I see the significant same pattern, then that's when I can probably take a decision saying, no, after 1 quarter of running this, it doesn't make sense. I'm not going to do this. So the idea is how quickly do you get them to insights and how quickly can you get the business users from insights to actions?
Yeah.
So this is one of the biggest updates that we have done. This is called decision intelligence, key driver analysis, a significant part of the update. The other one is Ask Zia. We talked about Ask Zia, but here I just want to quickly tell you the one that I talked to you about, the Microsoft Teams integration that we talked about here. I'm using Ask Zia to ask a question, order quantity by ship mode and order priority. It comes back with this chart that helps me in doing the analysis. Great. Now I can also use this to create more models. I can say, hey, can you create a new table based on the product table and the discount table? And then it comes back with this particular query here, which I can then use to do additional reports and charts. We also formally now support French and Spanish as a part of Ask Zia. So if you're going to use Zia, Ask Zia, you can then exercise any of the languages, English, Spanish, or French. Now, all of these are interesting. Now, think about this. All of these capabilities, you don't have to come into an analytics platform to exercise this. We just take this capability into a business application. In this case, I'm taking this inside Microsoft Teams, but you could basically embed the same experience in a presentation. And you can start asking questions like the way you're doing here. So when I set up the Ask Zia bot in Zoho, in Microsoft Teams, you see that automatically the organization or the workspace that I'm associated with is shown, and then the information that I have access to is shown. Now, I'm going to say, show me total sales, and then sales and product profitability by product matrix and so on and so forth. It's a simple query. And then you see a chart like this. Now, what I want to highlight here, instantaneous, not just that, the Zia Insights capability is also embedded. You're just not seeing a response, but I can go ahead and click on Zia Insights, and it gives me the narration of what's happening in that chart in a nice summary here. Now, think of doing this in the context of a conversation with your colleague. You're talking about a specific marketing campaign. There you go. You can basically get instantaneous data that can allow you towards or push you in the direction of a decision that needs to be taken. So if you observe this, all of this, like I said, all of the Gen AI capability is not AI for the sake of AI. It is AI for a cause. The cause is to make organizations more insights driven, right? So,
I would say you're making meetings great again, because the amount of insight, something comes up in a meeting, you can instantly get that information. And in the past, you would almost have to try to predict what people would ask for, and you would kind of be like, oh, I didn't do that. Now
exactly.
This is transformative. I love this.
It is totally transformative. That is the word, because that's what we are calling this, a transformative BI, AI-infused BI platform, right? And then there's also things along the lines of automatic analysis. Again, I don't want to go over this. some amount of AI, significant amount of AI, because we have created some small models. So here I have this data that I brought in from a table that has the campaign start, the spent on campaigns and sales. And it's just a table. I don't know how best to start working on this. So I can go to auto analysis, and because of the fact that we have done so many reports and charts over the last 15 years of the existence of this platform, we have created models internally based on which we use now Gen AI, and then use those models that we have built to automatically help create reports and charts. Look at this one here. So I'm going to do auto analysis. It says, hey, based on this data, I have a sales dashboard with the reports. I
Wow.
have revenue analysis. I have ad spend analysis. Now, who can benefit from something like this? One, even if you're a power user, you want to use a capability like this because you quickly get to some insights, and then you can accept and reject them, accept or reject some of these, right? Or if you're an entry level user, from nowhere, a data table turned into visuals, and over time you iterate over this and you figure out the ones that you want to have and the ones you don't want to have.
Yeah.
So let's look at the experience. So what does this dashboard look like? So the dashboard is essentially an organization of the reports that have been generated. And the reports essentially have all the capabilities, the ZIA Insights capability. You can drill down, you can explore and do all those kind of nice things. And then you can basically choose to retain some and not retain. That's about it. Idea is, how quickly do we get you to insights from data? That's the angle. So as you can see, it's always about pushing the boundaries, making it easier to get to insights. And if you get at the insights layer, how do we get you to actions by making these things available in the context of your business tools, right? So that's one thing. Another thing that we're also doing is integration with OpenAI. And the idea is, if you're a data engineer or a data analyst, you want to help with SQL queries, you want help with creating formulas and metrics, you can basically use OpenAI. And then the example here, you see, I'm using the SQL query suggester, and I have the sales order table. I want to create a new data model, and I can go in and say, hey, write a SQL query to show the quarter-wise total and the average sale along with all the detailed products sold, the country in which they are sold, and also, just to make it a little bit more interesting, complex, do a quick comparison with the previous quarter. Now, a query like this is pretty comprehensive. It is kind of complex in its own right. So using OpenAI, again, look at the context. The context is to help a specific data persona, a data analyst or a data engineer who are working on the data. You just want to make it easier, kind of give them a boost to their productivity. And here you click on the generate SQL, it creates the SQL, and then you execute the query. You have a new data table that is created, and you can now use auto analysis on this data set and create reports and charts right away, right? So that's the angle here. Again, the focus is specific personas, boosting their productivity, pushing the boundaries. Similarly, formula suggestion is another one. Here, I'm going to use OpenAI assisted formula generation. I want the year-to-date sales average. And I say suggest a formula to calculate the year-to-date average of sales, and boom. What's happening here, I want to highlight something around privacy. We do not send the data from the table over to OpenAI. We're only sending the names of the columns because that's all we need. For example,
Yes.
to create a query, you don't need the data, you only need the column names. Similarly, to create a formula, you only need the column names, you don't need the data itself. So we are taking that stand and putting that firewall around, and the firewalls of privacy based on the features that we are enabling. Now, if a customer wants to send data and get something back, that's on them. But from a Zoho perspective, we are still very clear that any feature that we expose that has integration with LLM, we only want to send the metadata. We don't want to send the data.
Yes. This is actually a question that I had when I heard about this integration with OpenAI, because Zoho has always been privacy centered. And, companies do not, that's their bread and butter is their data. They don't want, to share that out there. So by just showing the columns, now you answered my question on how that integration was going to work.
Yeah, it's again, the thought process is, Gen AI that is built for very specific context and that also has the philosophy of Zoho embedded in it around privacy and security. So the whole process of product development takes that. That's in the DNA of product teams to think of features that is not going to expose data to third-party systems
Yes.
without consent. Any feature that we have, we are going to basically build a firewall. Now, if you want to go around the firewall, then it would be based on a consent mechanism.
So they
So
can if they
again,
want. They can if they
no,
want.
not at this time. Not at this time. The features that we have exposed will only allow them to send the metadata over. If they want to send the data, then they can basically export the data and then
I see.
directly send it to OpenAI. But directly from the Zoho Analytics platform, there is not going to be any way. Not at this
Love
time
it.
because this is the first integration that we have done. We are looking at specific features to make it easier for a different set of personas how Gen AI and AI can be contextually brought into their work. So we talked about Ask Zia, we talked about Zia in the context of Microsoft Teams and so on. Here, you're looking at those are business users who would benefit from those capabilities. Here, as a data engineer or a data analyst, these features are going to help me at the same time safeguard anything with regard to my concerns of privacy and security. And now when it comes to the Zoho ecosystem, where we have the Zoho One, the CRM Plus, which is the customer experience platform, we have the Marketing Plus, the marketing platform, the employee experience platform. In here, what happens, analytics is so deeply embedded and infused that you do not have to enable Zoho Analytics. It is just embedded. And what that means is over 70,000 organizations are using Zoho Analytics on a daily basis when it comes to the ecosystem, be it the Zoho One or CRM Plus, right? What happens is you're not trying to set up any integrations and you just have to enable the analytics platform. It introspects the environment and says, hey, I am in the context of Zoho One. And in this instance, they have Zoho Desk, Zoho CRM, Zoho Project, Zoho Books enabled. Oh, I'm just going to plumb all the data and I'm going to create the reports and dashboards out of the box. Boom, that's it. It's just as simple as checkboxing the application to be enabled. Everything happens behind the scene. The magic gets done.
And this
So
is
that's the Zoho ecosystem.
Yes, and this is what I have always been saying about AI. AI should just run in the background and give you what you need. Because like if you're a data analyst and you see AI, you might think, oh, my job might be lost, but it's not. It's just actually
Yep.
empowering the data analysts to make their jobs
100%.
easier.
Again, it's just the hype around how people will go jobless, and they talk about
Yes.
how AI is going to write code. You're going to have 500,000 applications. Everything is true. At the same time, it doesn't mean these things have to be automated. What needs to be automated needs to be automated. AI is just pushing the boundaries. There are still going to be roles. There's still going to be jobs. There's still going to be fun in the world. That's what I believe in, anyway.
Yes, no, I believe the same thing too. Yeah, it's the glass half full or half empty. But what you're
Yeah.
really showing in this example is it's half full because there is a lot of optimism about the power of AI. I think this is a really great deployment of AI. I've watched other companies, it's a lot of, I've been in the tech game for a long time. There's always like a lot of hype, but this is utility. This is actually showing a great use case of
Outcomes,
AI.
enable outcomes. We might get pretty weedy or pretty into the weeds of talking about features and how we do this and that. But at the end of the day, every line of code that is not making a business impact is of no consequence.
Yeah.
So it's always about great engineering enabling great business outcomes.
And it's not just for the enterprise customers of yours.
It is for everybody.
It's
It's
for
everybody.
everybody. Yes.
Exactly. And again, that's why I spend time on talking about these features in the context of a power user and an entry level user. No matter, for example, auto analysis, like I said, anybody wants to use it. I have data, I'm looking at, okay, what relationship should I create? Instead, if I just go to auto analysis, I'm just going to create my first set of reports and charts. Yeah, great place to start. Even if I'm a power user, that's like, yeah, this is useful, this is useful, this is not useful. You just create a dashboard that makes total sense and eliminate the data's data points that are not of consequence in your business context. On the other hand, if I'm an entry level user, I'm like, whoa, I have all these charts. Let me poke into each one of this and figure out if it makes sense. And then it's an iterative process. The idea is, how do you give them an accelerated way of getting to insights?
Yeah. And it also, underscores the importance of capturing data about your customers, putting it into Zoho, because now you're really showing people what happens when you're doing things right and getting
Yeah.
that data, putting it in, and everything from an email to your CRM, all of that, capturing it, getting a nice data set, and the world is your oyster from there. You're going to get
Yeah.
insights you would never be able to do on your own if you were just trying to use Excel and, try to create your own tables.
Again, it's not built to scale. You can run with it, you can have your hustle with it for as long as you want to. But at some point, there is the pivot point that you arrive at where you're like, I need a BI tool. I just can't run this with Excel,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. This is a
Awesome.
I've been looking at, like I said, a lot of companies and how they're deploying AI, and knowing Zoho being that kind of privacy focused company that really allows customers to control their data. You've just taken it to the next level, and I'm very interested to see how this is being deployed by your customers in the near future.
Oh, absolutely. And we have some very interesting Canadian customers as well, Andy. So, yeah, so people are excited about the DSML Studio. I can tell you right off the bat, they're very excited about the DSML Studio because now they can have their teams bring in ML in the context of business data, the prediction, the diagnosis that they want to do, right? They want to get to insights as quickly as possible. And these are some of those elements, or foundational elements that will get them to that place.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking to future current Zoho customers to see how they're
Mhm.
utilizing this. That would be a great insight on everything from small businesses to the enterprise businesses to see how they utilize this. It's going to be a game changer, I think, for a lot of companies.
That is the belief. That is the belief.
Well, Pete, I want to thank you again for talking all about this new big announcement from Zoho, and I look forward to chatting with you again.
Likewise, Andy, and good luck with everything. Take care.
Thank you.